Right. So this is the case study I'm going to explain you in context to the role of a business analyst for ServiceNow, which is an IT service management application. As we all know, being a business analyst, it is always important for us to understand the requirements and providing solutions for any of the customer needs. In regard to that, being a BA, whenever we try to understand the requirements from the ServiceNow perspective, to have some exposure on a particular project or a case study is always helpful. In this regard, this case study which I have taken, because to have some exposure on the case study, to have some exposure towards implementing a project being a BA, to gather the requirements from the ServiceNow perspective, how to understand and how we need to deliver and how this can be implemented by implementing the features and functionalities is what something being a BA we must be good with. In this regard, I have taken a case study which is about standardizing the IT service management across all the departments. The first thing we must be knowing about the client, right? So whoever the client are we providing the services and all. So we must be knowing about the client, followed by the background of the client, right? So what exactly this client belongs to and which services they were belongs to, right? So what are their business services? Everything we have to be known so that we will be knowing about where this can be implemented. So in regard to the client, what we have taken is from the manufacturing. Normally there will be two things. One is about manufacturing, second is a service sector. So manufacturing services where they manufacture like confectionery manufacturing they were into. So wherein they were selling products and all everything to multiple in different countries across world, right? So that's where generally they require some kind of service management application to manage their services. So first of all, we must be understood to understand the business situation. Knowing about the client is always required and always important. That is point number one. So once we understood the client, so we should understand about the challenge what they are facing. Because as a BA, whenever we try to understand the business situation, the first thing you need to know about the challenge. So what challenges a customer is facing? Because if you have seen this as a challenge, because this is an MNC, wherein whatever the end customer had regional IT service management teams and all using different local ITSM systems and all based on the remedy process, all that VMC remedy. This majorly causes some inconvenience when they are planning and managing, coordinating the IT service issues and all that. So hence the kind of problem which customer is facing in this regard, customer wants to migrate their services to the ServiceNow, so that whatever the ServiceNow implementation, according to their business rules and all, they want someone to customize and configure the system. And one of the major key requirement they were identified here is to put the system in according to the end user customer business workflows, because business workflows may vary depends on the kind of process they follow, right? So business workflows, so that introducing different ITL processes of service transition and service operations. This must leads to ensuring IT service consistency among regional departments. This is where generally the challenge being a BA, one has to understand, one has to identify. That's what generally the challenge is all about. So once we have identified the challenge, so what solution are we going to provide, right? So because this is with the help of technical team being a BA, because we need to interact with multiple stakeholders about the kind of problem, solution, etc. So in regard to that, having a deep understanding over the ServiceNow, if we being a BA, we should have a knowledge over the ServiceNow tool. When we had interacted with multiple stakeholders and all that, so we have identified 5 different processes. One is about the incident management, how effectively incident management has to be uh, planned and addressed. At the same time, request fulfillment upon the request which was raised by the customer and all that. How are we managing the request fulfillment process? And if there is any kind of changes happens in between, how the change management will be taken place, followed by the configuration event, right? So how these configurations are taken place, right? So how the configuration management or the process mechanism are we implementing, followed by knowledge management, etc. So these are the different processes one should be knowing: incident management, request fulfillment, change management, followed by configuration, knowledge management. All these things, these are the processes one must be good with. So in regard to that, normally as a solution provider, we have configured the workflow module, because workflow module, as well as because if you see the kind of challenge we have discussed is to customers business workflow is what something which we have to be addressed in this regard. So here we, being a solution provider, we need to configure the workflow module so that whatever the end-to-end process and all, everything can be translated into ServiceNow, so that to determine the workflow functionality using different workflow activities and all everything, so that whatever the multiple stepwise procedures in regard to the change management, instant management, request fulfillment, and all, everything will be used in this regard. This is what generally, being a business analyst, one should understand about the kind of solution are we going to provide for the customer needs. Now, what end of the day result are we going to provide? So in context to the result itself is concerned, customers receive customized ITSM services using ServiceNow. So either it can be incident management, as I mentioned earlier, right? Either it can be request fulfillment or change management, knowledge management, configuration management, and all. So that this will be helpful in company to unify the standardizing IT services for all the departments. So spread it across different countries across the world. So by combining the service now, wherein it's an out-of-box functionality, which specifies end customer workflows and all, which resulted in three major benefits for the end customer, like a smooth settlement of IT service disruptions, at the same time an advancement of impacting of the changes in IT environment, at the same time automation over ITSM while we are managing the customer workflows. These are all the end results which customer will be benefited, because end of the day benefit towards the customer will be the ultimate motto behind. So for that, technology called ServiceNow and ITIL is what something we have used. This is how, being a BA, you need to understand any problem or a business situation, understanding the customer needs, challenges, followed by this, what solution and how this can be implemented. What are the different modules we are going to implement under this, right? So how are we doing this? This is what something practically you need to do. So when I'm creating a case study, or when I'm assisting them people to work on the case study as part of business analyst ServiceNow training, or kind of project-based training kind of stuff. This is what something which you have to do it to have some live exposure, right? So that you get some confidence while you're applying for job opportunities or you're working in the environment. You will be having the confidence, right? So that you can address even stakeholders as well as the interviews and all effectively and as well as confidently. I hope this is all about this video. If you have any questions, please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.